I have to confess, I do have a problem with Fendi. Hi and very welcome. My name is Mary. This is my channel Lumi LevelUp and I'm a luxury lover on an average income trying to be more mindful with my money. It might be that part of my problem with Fendi results just from being on an average income, which I will explain to you later in that video. Because of course it's not the price point itself. I am a luxury lover. I know the prices in the luxury segment and for the most I'm fine with them. Fendi is even on the somewhat more affordable side compared to brands like Chanel and Hermes, and even compared with Louis Vuitton, considering that Fendi does go on sale and does have outlets. And the preloved market for Fendi actually is a real gold mine, because most Fendi pieces don't hold their value very well. Wearing glasses today, because to be honest I've just been too lazy to put in my contact lenses, and I thought it might suit the somewhat educational vibes some parts of this video might give quite well. Before you come for me, it's not that I hate Fendi and that I think all of their designs would be ugly. Not at all. To be honest, since I watched Dale's Addictions videos and her incredible love and passion for the brand, it even got me quite hooked. And her passion is really contagious. That's why I wanted to take a moment to reflect on that itchy feeling inside of me, what it is that does bother me about Fendi. And when preparing for this video, I somehow slipped into the history of the brand, so I'm going to share that with you as well. Currently, I do have only 2 pieces from Fendi in my collection. Both of them are just sunglasses. Guess I will film them close up for you so you will be able to see them somewhat better. One is this aviator one with pink glasses, and they do reflect the Fendi Zucca FF logos, depending on how the light hits. And the second pair is this yellow detailed one with a somewhat cat eye shape. I bought both pairs last year and they were current collection last year, so 2021. Oh, and probably worth mentioning is that they have this curved Fendi logo, because that's a thing we will talk about later again. And I used to own a very vintage blue Fendi bag, but I already sold that years ago on Vestiaire Collective. We start this video now with a little history lesson on Fendi. They were founded in 1925 in Rome, Italy. Well, at least that's when they got their name Fendi, and that's the year they do promote now as their founding year. When though, to be more precise, they were already founded 7 years prior in 1918 by a woman, Adele Casagrande, as a store for fur and leather goods. But after her marriage, they changed the name to Fendi, the surname of her husband. I'm not going to throw shade because about 100 years ago, an independent woman renamed her business after her husband. I didn't research deep enough to know enough about these instances. It's just something I noticed and I thought I'll share. Funny enough, the female power struck back and the couple only got daughters. 5 of them. All 5 did join the family business and later inherited 20% of the business each. And already in 1965, the Fendi sisters won Karl Lagerfeld as their designer. Some of you might know that he is even the one that invented the famous FF Zucca logo. And I think it's safe to say that Karl Lagerfeld is the greatest German fashion designer in fashion history so far, at least if you ask me as a German. And Karl loved Fendi. Since he was signed quite at the beginning of his career in 1965, he stayed designer at Fendi till he passed away in 2019. Already since 1994, Silvia Venturini Fendi, a daughter of one of the Fendi sisters, was co-designer next to Karl Lagerfeld. And after his death till this day, she took huge design responsibilities for many areas of Fendi. In 1999 though, the Fendi sisters sold 51% of their shares to LVMH and Prada. Today, the company belongs completely to LVMH, the conglomerate that owns Louis Vuitton as well, and several other high-level luxury brands. Even though Silvia Venturini Fendi is still designer at the company, it's technically not a family business anymore, because they don't hold any shares. I couldn't find anything problematic in the history of Fendi, but I noticed that they completely blurred out World War II. And for European companies that have been already around during that time, it's always worth to take a closer look. because most of the design fashion houses were either forced to collaborate with the Nazis, some even did it voluntarily, and others closed down for the war years, which usually is communicated very strongly, because the ones that did close were the few that were actually on the right side. And since I couldn't find anything about Fendi in the years between 1939 and 1945, it's always just communicated that the Fendi sisters joined the company after World War II. We can only assume which side they were on during the war and if it was forced or by choice. All of that just allegedly. I didn't jump into a deep dive document research. All I'm sharing with you today in this video is based on some light-hearted Google searches. And I don't even want to make this a huge issue in this video. Maybe it's just a little food for thoughts. Do you think companies should address it if they have a problematic past and history? Should they even apologize decades later? Or is it okay to just erase those lines from their history books and try to sweep it under the carpet? Because the ones involved might not even be alive anymore. And the companies they are today might be far away from the minds of the founders. Oh, Chanel. Not even trying to blame Fendi too much here. The European luxury scene, especially the companies with a long tradition, a lot of that is not so great. It's just not talked about that much anymore today. And it's not known that well anymore, because most people don't do the research on it. Chanel has a very problematic past. And unfortunately, even my favorite design house, Louis Vuitton, not so great in these terms. But that got way deeper than I initially planned. Because initially I just wanted to talk about some Fendi designs and what it is that I personally don't enjoy that much about them. But maybe you appreciate it the same way as I do it when getting some more background informations and facts you probably might not have heard before. But let me drop some of the iconic Fendi design elements now and lead to my problem. They started off with the Janus emblem, a two-headed god from Roman mythology. He was in charge of gates and doors, metaphorical what was and what is to come, as well as the beginning and the end. You still find it on some vintage pieces, but nowadays the motif isn't used that much anymore. It's a very subjective thought, but I don't like the look of it. Two heads out of one, two faces. It's rather creepy to me than aesthetically pleasing, and that might be as well why they don't use it anymore. The next step in Fendi iconography we want to take a closer look at is already the Fendi Zucca FF, designed by Karl Lagerfeld around 1965. I think it's genius. The two Fs somehow even pick up the initial idea of the Janus head with the two faces, but in a way more aesthetically pleasing way and somehow timeless elegant. The Zucca is used ever since then, and especially in recent years it had a huge rise in popularity again. I personally think changing that logo up again would be the end of the brand. 1983 they added the so-called Pekin pattern, brown and mustard stripes. You still find it on many vintage pieces, and every now and then this pattern is still used at Fendi, but I don't think it's that well known and iconic anymore. But who knows, maybe they will bring it back in an upcoming collection again. In general, we see stripes with Fendi every now and then. In the 1980s and early 1990s, Fendi struggled quite a bit because of political changes and more consumers got critical against furs, which always have been a huge part of Fendi's fashion and design language. But they managed a huge comeback with the baguette bag that was first released in 1997. And of course we can't deny the impact Carrie Bradshaw from the series Sex and the City had 1999 on the popularity of that bag in particular and the brand Fendi in general. Fendi was super hot in the 2000s. 2005 they released the Spy bag, which was an it bag back then, but died down quite fast. And it's not very popular at the moment. If you are interested in that bag, you can score it at really great prices on the preloved market right now, and maybe it'll come back one day. It happened with the baguette bags as well. And the prices for the vintage ones skyrocketed. Only a few years ago, you were able to find baguette bags in excellent condition for around 150 euro, and hardly anyone wanted them even at that low price, because they seemed so loud and kitschy and somewhat overdone. Now they are around 1000 euro, and everyone wants one again. In 2009, the Fendi Peekaboo was released, which quickly made it to Fendi's bag icon. I really love the look of the Peekaboo and I want to own one day, but I'm not sure how classic and iconic that bag really is, considering it's only been around for 13 years. I know, for a bag being around that long, it's already huge, but is that really enough to consider it a timeless classic forever piece? And if you want to hear my harsh opinion, I personally think the only Fendi bag I would consider to have the potential to be a classic timeless bag icon is the Peekaboo. Many will disagree and state that the baguette is a Fendi classic forever as well, but I strongly disagree. The baguette is a super hot trend bag. It was super trendy in the early 2000s, then it completely died down for more than 10 years, to make now a huge comeback since around 2020, with 2K fashion in general being super hot at the moment. But who knows for how long? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying never get a trendy bag. You should not have fun with your handbags. Only ever buy true classics that have been around for 50 years and more. No, of course not. If you can afford it, if you enjoy it, or maybe if you do not even care for trends, just go for it. The Fendi baguette bag is a hella fun bag. And I love to see it on Dale, for example. And Jota is rocking one and Emilia Rose. It nearly feels like it's everybody's darling in the luxury community at the moment. And that's absolutely fine. I've been looking at them as well. And if I would find a vintage one that I really like at a bargain price, I would never say never. All I'm trying to say is don't be surprised if you buy it now brand new for around 3000 euro at its highest demand, and when you want to sell it in a few years from now, when the trend died down, you might only get back, I don't know, maybe 500 for it, which some people don't care at all because they just want to have fun with their bags. And that is already everything that comes to my problem with Fendi. So it's not really a big deal. It's just they do a lot. Textures, materials, colors, patterns, design ideas and trends. A lot of their designs are very loud, very typical for a specific time or season. Do you, for example, remember when these colorful Fendi studs were a huge thing? Or the Fendi monster pieces? Now you find these at quite low prices, because they have been so super hot and they are not anymore. Take a look at my sunglasses again. Probably inserting you a picture because this doesn't focus. They have that curved Zucca FF that was hot last season. But many might not even recognize that this is a pair of Fendi glasses. Kinda the same direction with the warped Fendi Zucca that was hot last year and is still available this year. It might look like a bad replica version in a few years from now. To me personally, Fendi is doing so much and is not very stringent with many of their design elements. And what is the true essence of Fendi? Maybe it is the FF Zucca, but everything else has been changed so much, has been altered so often, maybe picked up in one way or another after some years again. And some elements did have huge comebacks. Newest example, the Fendi First Clutch. It's something completely new. It has a absolutely unique shape. Yet again, picking up a variation of the classic Fendi logo with a single F. Will that bag stand the test of time? Who knows? Does it have to stand the test of time to be a great bag and to give a lot of joy to many luxury lovers? Of course not. It's just not what I would spend my money on, because I don't have unlimited funds. Maybe in a few years from now, when that bag shape is not that hot and trendy anymore and I still like it, and I can snatch up one for a fraction of the initial price, who knows? If you love and buy a lot of Fendi from current collections. Please don't get offended by my personal opinion. As I already mentioned, I'm not saying that Fendi doesn't do great innovative design ideas and that you can't enjoy their pieces for a long time. This is just the approach from a luxury lover on an average income who doesn't want to afford to keep chasing these trends. buying bags that don't hold their value too well, because that's just not worth it to me. That being said, if you already love Fendi, you absolutely should check out Dale's channel, because she's the queen of Fendi and she has the funds to treat herself with these trendy pieces. Maybe even check her out if you don't love Fendi, because she can make you fall in love. So to finish this video on a placatory note towards all the Fendi lovers. So you believe me that I don't hate Fendi and that Dale's passion is contagious. Guess who got infected with Fendi fever? Dale got me curious to get a bag for quite a while now. And when I saw Autumn Beckman unboxing her incredibly beautiful sequin peekaboo that she scored at a great price, I immediately started my pre-loved hunt. It's exactly the way I expected it to be. If you're not chasing the latest trendy Fendi it bags, you can score incredible deals on these luxury designer handbags. So, Fendi unboxing to come soon from the person that started this video with confessing to have a problem with Fendi. Let me know your thoughts on the brands down in the comments. Do you already own any Fendi bags or are you planning on getting one? Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you next time and bye! In 1999, if they have a problem. My husband decided to cook water now. I'm not sure if you're able to hear it, but I hear it and it annoys me terribly. Example, remember the way. As soon as the Fendi unboxing is uploaded, you will find it here, but in the meantime, I just let YouTube recommend something else for you to watch next.